Hi, this video is about quantitative research and how to write your research paper, specifically the preliminary parts of chapter 1. So, when you already have your research topic or working research title for a quantitative research, you can go ahead and start writing your chapter 1. So, we are going to follow the IMRAD form. So, IMRAD form stands for I, that's introduction, M for methods, RAD, that's for results, and your discussion. So, there are 4 chapters in IMRAD. So, first chapter is your introduction, second chapter, methods, chapter 3, results, and chapter 4, discussions. So, we follow a format, a standard in writing our research paper. Kasi this is not creative writing. So, you should follow standards in writing your research paper. So, first, ang font style na gagamitin should be Arial. And the font size is 12. Again, that's Arial 12. Double spacing dapat. Double spacing. Ayan. Para hindi masakit sa mata, tsaka madali siyang i-check. So double spacing tayo. And then, each paragraph should be 5 to 8 lines. Okay? Pag lumampas yan ng 8 lines, yung paragraph mo lumagpas ng, umabot ng 9, 10, or 12 lines. So, dapat mo siyang i-cut na and gawin mo siyang 2 paragraphs na, depending on the thought. Okay, so 5 to 8 lines per paragraph. Kasi hindi pwede na sa isang buong papel, sa whole page, isang paragraph lang. So, hindi pwede. So, it should be at least 5 to 8 lines per paragraph. Hindi rin siya pwedeng 4 lines lang yung isang paragraph. Lalong-lalo nang hindi pwedeng 1 sentence lang ang isang paragraph. Okay, so ang margins natin, dito sa left side is 1, dito sa top is 1, sa right 1, at saka sa bottom 1. Margins yan. Ang letters, ang size naman ng papel should be letter size or short, yun. Okay, so this is an example of how it looks. So, yung word na chapter 1, yung chapter 1, naka-sentence case siya. So, ang capital letter lang ay ang C. Just disregard this line. So, that's actually the mouse or, the cursor. So, capital C yan. And the rest are small letters or lowercase letters. Naka-bold ito, Control B, CTRL-B. So, yung number is 1 talaga, hindi yung Roman numeral na parang I. Okay? So, chapter 1. And then, yung word na introduction, capital letters lahat, uppercase letters lahat, and naka-bold din. Okay. So, we have here the subpart. We have the rationale. Naka-bold din yan, naka-sentence case. So, ang capital letter lang ay ang R. And then, indented ang first paragraphs or indented ang mga paragraphs. So, this is now the first paragraph of the rationale. Okay, and so on. So, this is just an example. So, ano nga ba ang nakapaloob? Ano yung mga parts ng chapter 1? So, ang chapter 1 is composed of the rationale, the research objectives, the null hypothesis or the research hypothesis, the scope and the limitation, your review of related literature, the theoretical framework, the conceptual framework, significance of the study, and the definition of terms. However, in this video, we are going to discuss the 4 parts of the introduction. We have the rationale, the research objectives, the null hypothesis, and the scope and the delimitation. Okay. So, rationale, paano nga ba magsulat ng rationale? So, again, this is read as rational, hindi rationale, ha? Okay. So, ang rationale, meron siyang at least 4 paragraphs. Okay, 4 paragraphs. Yung first paragraph niya is about the problem of your variable 2 and its importance. When you say variable 2, or sometimes they call it as the dependent variable, okay, dependent variable, or variable B, or second variable. So if your working title is parental involvement and self-esteem, so your variable A or variable 1 is parental involvement. Your variable 2 is self-esteem, or your variable B is self-esteem. Okay. So if you write your first paragraph and that's your working title, so your first paragraph should be about the problem of the problem and the importance of self-esteem. Okay, the problem and the importance of self-esteem. Pwede rin sa first paragraph, pwede niyong i-define shortly or briefly yung self-esteem. Okay, so, but your first paragraph should be about brief description of self-esteem and yung problem at saka importance ng self-esteem or yung variable B. Okay? Yung second paragraph naman, it's the importance of your second variable. So, hindi ka na mag-mention na kung ano bang problema natin sa variable B mo, variable A mo. Okay, variable 1 yan. And you can also briefly describe your your first variable, variable 1. Again, tandaan, first paragraph is variable 2 or variable B. Second paragraph is variable 1 or variable A. So, if your working title is on parental involvement and self-esteem, so your second paragraph should be about the parental involvement. So, you can briefly define or describe parental involvement as used in your study and cite the importance, ano bang kahalagahan ng parental involvement. And then you connect the two variables. So, i-connect mo yung parental involvement sa self-esteem. Okay? Then, the third paragraph is about the problem of your second variable. Yung nasa first paragraph mo, which is self-esteem, yung third paragraph, balikan mo siya. Ngayon naman sa third paragraph, i-cite mo yung problem ng self-esteem in the local setting where the study will be conducted or citing an authority. So, ibig sabihin, ano bang problema natin sa self-esteem dito sa Pilipinas? Or kung makakita kayo ng study on Davao City na setting, mas okay yun. Okay? So, mamaya papakita ko sa inyo mga sample on for the rationale, first paragraph, second, third, and the last one. Okay? So, eto, third paragraph, problem of the second variable in the local setting in the Philippines. Okay? And you have to cite a study on that. So, hindi lang dapat galing sa sarili, ha? The things or the information that you are going to discuss on your rationale, specifically sa first, second, third, at saka sa parts ng last paragraph, should be with reference. Okay? Hindi lang galing sa sarili, kundi supported by evidences. And saan galing yung mga evidences na yon? Galing sa mga studies na na-conduct na and na-publish. Okay? So, mamaya ituturo ko sa inyo kung paano gagawin yan. So, yung last paragraph naman, it's the presentation of research gap and urgency of the study. So, when we say research gap, magbibigay ako ng example. Ito yung mga yung kulang sa research. So, sasabihin mo, marami ng research na ginawa about parental involvement. Marami na ring research ang ginawa about self-esteem. Pero, wala pa akong nakitang research in the local setting, sa Pilipinas, na pinagsama yung dalawa. Or, wala pa akong nakitang research na about sa relationship ng parental involvement and ng self-esteem sa local setting. Okay? So, yun ang research gap. And, kaya, yung urgency of the study, kaya, gusto kong i-conduct ang study na ito to determine if there is really a significant relationship between the two variables. So, ganun yun. Okay, mamaya, papakita ko example. Ito na pala. Okay. So this is an example of the first paragraph in the rationale. So again, first paragraph is the problem of the second variable and its importance. So second variable or variable B. Okay. So this is taken from the study of Munria about ano ba ito? Work commitment and about yata ito sa change readiness ng mga empleyado sa in an organization. Okay. In the Philippines. So basahin natin. So this paragraph is about the second variable, which is the change readiness of the employees. Okay. So changes that are taking place in an organization greatly affect employees' work attitude toward or due to the fear of the unknown. That's from Fur 2014, Perry 2016, Tanner 2015. Okay. So, eto ngayon, ma'am, ano yan? So, these are the references. Alam niyo na ito kasi, di ba, na-discuss na ito. Meron na kayong research 1 in your qualitative research. So, it's just like your RRL. Okay? Yung mga referencing na ganyan. Changes that are taking place. This sentence right here, or this thought right here, is not coming from the author. Okay? This might comes from the author, but the author supported this with evidences. So, ang nagsabi talaga nito na ang change daw in an organization nakaapekto sa empleyado, sa attitude ng empleyado towards work because of the fear of the unknown. Ito siya ay sinabi or na-mention ni na Fur 2014, Perry 2016, Tanner 2015. Okay? Employees feel uncertain about what lies ahead and beyond their comfort zone. So, ito namang thought na ito ay galing kay Kosei and Ingalls 2016, Sensenig 2009. This particular situation, according to Dahl 2011 and Shah 2009, can intensify the sense of indecision, difficulty, and uneasiness amongst workforce. When these feelings arise, employees' work attitude is hugely affected. Let's do away with this type of referencing. Yung parang, yung sasabihin, according to author year. So, hindi natin ito gagamitin dito ngayon sa rational. Gagamitin natin ito sa RRL na. So, for rational, sa chapter 1, ito lang ang gagamitin natin. Yung thought muna, yung sentence, pagkatapos niyan, before ang period ng sentence, dito ilalagay ang references. Okay. And one more thing, in writing your chapter 1, in writing your research paper, you have to use third person. Third person. So, bawal yung mga words na we, us, our, yung mga first and second person, bawal yun. Okay? So, walang we, us, walang I, walang tayo. Okay? So, this, sana tayo. Martin, Jones, and Callan 2005 averred that organizational change is a natural occurrence, but how employees react to the change makes the difference. A negative, tandaan ninyo, the first paragraph should be about the problem and the importance of the second variable. In this case, yung second variable niya ay change readiness ng mga empleyado. Okay, sabi niya dito, a negative response to change may lead employees to leave their work as they become disappointed of what are happening in their organization. So that's a problem already. Okay? That's the problem already. Those who will not leave may display work inefficiency and underproductivity. Changes such as this, according to Dahl 2011, may bring about harmful effects, especially on the mental health of the employees. So again, dito niya sinite yung problem. Okay? Yung problem about change readiness ng mga empleyado. Paano nakakaapekto yon? Okay? And gaano ka-importante yung change readiness ng mga empleyado. And so, again, i-remind ko kayo that this paragraph, your rationale should be supported by the evidences. So, dapat andito yung mga references. Okay. So let me show you another example of a rationale. Let me show you another example of the first paragraph of the rationale. This is taken from the study School Climate in Mathematical Dispositions of Grade 10 Students. So the second variable is mathematical disposition. So the first paragraph, or this paragraph, should be about the problem on mathematical disposition. So it says here, one of the several factors that affect students' mathematics achievement is their disposition towards mathematics. So this thought comes from Anko, 1996. However, students tend to have a negative disposition towards the subject, as the misconception that mathematics is a difficult subject and that it is okay not to be good at math is widely accepted, because of the mindset that a person is either born with mathematical ability or not. So this is already a problem in the mathematical disposition of a student. This misconception affects the student's attitudes towards learning mathematics and subsequently leads to a negative mathematical disposition. So this is from AAMT 2015. So again, lahat na nandito ay supported by the evidence. I mean, eto, hindi galing sa author ng current study, yung mga nandito sa rationale. So, eto yung mga nabasa niyang problem about mathematical disposition. And, specifically, galing sa AAMT 2015 at kay ANCO 1996. Okay? So, ganyan magsulat ng first paragraph ng rationale. Before we go to second paragraph, turuan ko muna kayo kung paano yun gagawin yung mga may references. Okay, yung mga referencing na ganon. Let's take for example, ito, yung mathematical dispositions. Halimbawa, gusto mong sabihin, problems on mathematical disposition. So, let's say, kasali kasi sa mathematical disposition yung interest ng bata sa mathematics. So, ang gawin mo, punta ka ng Google Scholar. Or pwede rin sa ProQuest, ha? Pwede sa ProQuest. And then, isearch mo yung mga keywords. Okay. Ano nga ba yung mga posibleng problema sa mathematical disposition? So, let's say, students have low interest. Students have low interest in math. Okay. So, bibigyan ka ng mga results ng mga studies about students having low interest in math. So, babasahin mo yan. Okay? So, when students, pwede mo siyang i-open mo siya in new tab kasi dapat andito pa ito. Kasi when you read this and kung andito talaga yung sinasabing students have low interest in math, halimbawa nabasa mo dito sa result, sa abstract niya na ang result nito ay talaga namang students have low interest in math, so babalikan mo ngayon yan. Okay? And doon mo i-cite. Mamaya na yan. So, halimbawa, yun ang hinahanap mo. Gusto mong makakita ng evidence or reference na yung mga estudyante have low interest in math. So, babasahin mo ngayon yan. Okay? For the sake of the example lang natin ito. Halimbawa, nabasa mo nga dito, no, na ang mga estudyante talaga, nabasa mo dito, no, ang mga estudyante ay may low interest in math or low level of mathematical disposition, ganon. So, babalikan mo yan. Tapos, kung magsusulat ka, open ka ng Word. Okay? Halimbawa, isulat mo. Start ka na pagsusulat ng chapter 1. So, students, sabihin mo. So, yung nabasa mo dito sa abstract, okay. So, yung nabasa mo dito, hindi mo kokopyahin ng intuto yan. Hindi mo kokopyahin verbatimly. So, i-rephrase mo yan. Okay, i-rephrase mo. I-restate kung paano mo siya na-understand or kung ano yung thought, okay, ng result ng study. So, sabihin mo, students have low interest in mathematics. Mathematics. Okay? Before mo i-end yung sentence, ilalagay mo dyan yung reference. Ngayon, yung reference, saan mo kukunin? Di ba? Ito yung study na yon. And nag-open tayo ng new tab kasi babalikan natin yung original at dito tayo magsasite. You see this quotation mark right here. Yan ang pipindutin natin, i-click to get the referencing styles, or the references. So, we have here different referencing formats or referencing styles. Pipiliin natin yung APA, yung APA. So, eto siya. I-click lang natin yan and Control-C. And then, balik tayo dun sa word na in-open natin. You really have to save your references, ha? Kasi ang last part ng research paper ay yung mga references. Pinaka-importante yan to avoid plagiarism. Okay? And i-paste mo dyan. Ayan na siya. So, yun na yung reference mo. Lahat ng ma-mention mo sa research paper should, nagaling sa mga studies should be cited and should be in your references. Okay? That's to avoid plagiarism. So, ang gagawin mo, kasi ang kailangan lang naman natin dito, balik tayo sa example, ayan, last name ng author at saka yung year ng publication. Okay? So, we have here, dalawa sila at tatlo pala sila. Okay? Tatlo sila. So, copy-paste mo yan dito. And then, kukunin lang natin yung mga initials nila. Okay. Ayan, si Renninger, si Ewen. Ewan ko sa'yo. Okay. Si Ewen and si Lasher. And then, kukunin natin yung parentheses dito. Ayan. Tapos, may comma yan before the year, ha? Okay. Ayan. So, we have Renninger, Ewen, and Lasher, comma, and then 2002. And then, that's the time na ilalagay mo yung period, meaning end na yan ng sentence. Okay? So, that's how you do it in your rationale and how to cite authors. Right? So, andyan ha, dapat may references na ka-save yan lahat. And then, pwede ka na mag-start ng another paragraph. Or, kung ang next another sentence. Kung ang next sentence mo ay galing pa rin sa kanila. Pwede mong sabihin, this study also reveals, this study also shows, or their research also shows that, blah, 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 blah. Or pwede mo ring, halimbawa, there are two sentences or two thoughts coming from this same authors. Okay, pwede mo siya, ilagay mo siya sa end ng thought na galing sa kanila. Okay, so, first sentence, second sentence, and then dun mo siya ilagay, dun sa last part na ng thought or ng information na kinuha mo galing sa kanila. Okay? So, that's it for the referencing or the citation. Now, let's proceed to the second paragraph. Paano ba, or ano ba yung example ng second paragraph? Okay. So, as we have mentioned kanina, yung second paragraph is the importance of variable 1 or variable A. And then we connect the two variables. Anong connection ng variable 1 sa variable 2? So, this is an example. Congruently, research shows that a positive school climate, this, again, ito yung galing sa school climate and mathematical disposition. So, yung first paragraph niya about the problem and importance of mathematical disposition. Yung second paragraph is about school climate, yung importance ng school climate, at saka kung paano siya connected dun sa disposition. So, congruently, research shows that a positive school climate affects students' achievement. So, this thought comes from the National School Climate Center 2015, such that students who feel safe at school are more likely to have academic success than those who do not. Center of the Study and Prevention of Violence, 1992, Brand-Fellner, Schim. Ma'am, bakit dalawa? Bakit parami yan? So, this Center of the Study and Prevention Violence, 1992, is one source, one reference. Si Brand-Fellner, Schim, Sitzinger, and Dumas, 2003 is another reference. Paano yan? Halimbawa, balik tayo dun sa Google Scholar natin. Eto, pag may nabasa kang isa na tama nga, yun na yung hinahanap mong statement, okay? So, alright, so you cite this one. Halimbawa, etong pangalawa, ganun din ang sinabi niya, the same thought, okay? Nag-support din siya dun sa sinabi nung first na reference mo. Okay, edi, mas mabuti, marami silang nagsabi nun. So, babalik ka dito, cite mo ulit yung quotation, and then apa, copy-paste, balik ka dun sa word, dun sa work mo. So, then, copy-paste mo dito yung another reference. And then, kukunin mo yung mga name ng author at saka yung year. So, ang gagawin mo, semicolon yan. Okay, semicolon. Balikan natin yung example. Saan ba yung example? Ito. And then we have here, see this? Naka-semicolon yan after ng year. Okay, semicolon. And so, balik tayo dun sa word natin. Okay. So, copy-paste natin. After ng semicolon, ayan na si Garriott. Delete natin yung mga initials kasi apelyido lang ng authors ang kailangan natin. Apelyido ng authors. Okay? And yung end ha, it's an ampersand symbol. Ampersand symbol yan. So, hindi yung word na A and D na end. So, hindi yon. So, delete natin yung initials, comma, and then before the year. Okay. So, may dalawang authors ka na nagsabi, or dalawang studies ka na nagsabi that students have low interest in mathematics. Right? So, balik tayo doon sa second paragraph. Okay. So, again, importance of school climate ito dapat, and connection of first variable and second variable. Okay. So, for the reason that school climate influences the student's attitude in school, that's from the Dignity Act 2014, schools may also use climate data to enhance not just intellectual skills, but also dispositions that promotes academic success. So, ito na yung connection ng school climate sa mathematical disposition. Okay? So, schools may also use climate data to enhance not just the intellectual skills, but also dispositions that promotes academic success. Okay, diba? So, connection ng dalawang variables, it's from Cohen, McCloskey, and Pickerel, 2008. Right? So, that's the second paragraph. Now, the third paragraph, diba? Sabi, ang third paragraph should be about the problem of the dependent variable in the local setting where the study will be conducted, citing an authority. Ito pa rin dapat, published study pa rin. So, in the Philippines. So, sabi dito, consequently, the Philippines in its ability to manage change and cultivate opportunity ranked number 4 among upper middle income countries. This is now going back sa example dun sa change readiness. Okay? Change readiness ng employees. Ang example na ito. So, cultivate opportunity ranked number 4. So, this should be about the problem on change readiness ng mga empleyado sa Philippines. While this is true for the country, still many organizations fall short in spawning adequate organizational change readiness. So, yun ang problem sa Pilipinas about organizational change readiness. And as a result, they encounter setbacks or utter breakdowns when undergoing changes in their organizations. It's from Weiner 2009. Okay? And so on. So, this is now the problem of change readiness among employees in the Philippines. Right? Another example. Okay. This is also in the last paragraph. Another example for this. One moment. Right, so here is another example of the third paragraph. So this is from School Climate and Mathematical Disposition. So the third paragraph should be about the problem of mathematical dispositions of the students in the local setting. Okay, so Philippine setting. So locally, in a study conducted in the private colleges and universities in Cabanatuan City, Philippines, it was revealed that college freshman students had low positive attitudes towards mathematics. So this is already a problem in local setting, huh? Students having low positive attitudes towards mathematics. So specifically, students found, so eto ngayon, 'di ba sabi, citing an authority or with citation 'yan. So this result of a study is from Subaya Salangsang and Medrano 2018. So lahat ng sinabi na nandito, this is a result of a study conducted by Subia Salangsang and Medrano 2018. Okay, so hindi galing sa author ng current research yan. So, let's continue. Specifically, students found mathematics as their least favorite subject. Although students believed that being good at mathematics would give them more chances of becoming successful, they still did not like the subject and did not enjoy their mathematics classes. The study further revealed that students did not have perseverance towards the subject as they easily gave up when they could not solve a mathematics problem. Okay? So again, third paragraph, problem about your second variable or variable B in the local setting. So you can find this in the results of published studies. So again, dun balik sa Google Scholar or sa ProQuest. Okay, proquest.com. Right, so let's continue third paragraph na yan. How about the last paragraph? So sabi natin kanina, the last paragraph should be about the research gap and the urgency of the study. So in-explain ko briefly yung research gap kanina. And here's an example. While many researchers focus their studies on mathematical dispositions of the students and on factors that affect them, ito yung mga studies about mathematical disposition. So we have here 1, 2, 3. So I cited here 3 studies of mathematical dispositions. Bakit 3 yan? Pwedeng ang 4, pwedeng 5. Mas marami, mas mabuti. Kasi sabi ko, many researchers. Okay? Sabi ko, many researchers focus their studies on mathematical dispositions and on factors that affect them. Okay? Ma'am, paano gagawin yan? Of course, balik doon sa Google Scholar or sa proquest.com. Okay? So, maghanap ng mga studies about your variables. So, if your study is about parental involvement and self-esteem, so maghanap ng studies about parental involvement and studies about self-esteem. And then, isa-cite nyo dito. Gawin nyo yung paraan ng pagsasite ng tinuro ko kanina. Okay? Sa first part ng video. And so, hindi pwede na sinabi mo dito, many researchers, tapos ang ilalagay mo isa lang. Hindi pwede kasi ang sabi mo many. So, you should support that claim. So, ang sabi dito, marami ng studies about mathematical dispositions, pero the researcher has not come across of a study in the local setting on the relationship of school climate and students' dispositions towards mathematics. Sabi niya, marami na research about mathematical disposition, pero wala pang research in the local setting about the relationship of school climate and mathematical disposition. Kaya, sabi ng researcher, it is for this reason that the researcher is interested to determine if there is a significant relationship between school climate and students' mathematical dispositions. So, sa inyo, of course, ang pinaka-goal natin ay malaman natin kung meron bang significant relationship yung variable A at saka variable B. Okay? So, sabihin nyo, it is for this reason that the researchers are, kasi marami kayo, researchers are interested to determine if there is a significant relationship between variable A and your variable B. As a result, this study can help, kung ano na yung significance ng study nyo, dito nyo na ipapasok. Ano bang kahalagahan ng studies ninyo? So, in this case, this study can help teachers and administrators identify the specific factors of their school's climate which may have a significant influence to their students' mathematical dispositions and use this data to help better their mathematics achievement. Okay, so example. Yun na binigay ko na sa inyo yung example for the rationale, Okay? So, if you need more example for this, I'm gonna send you PDF files of more examples for chapter 1, specifically on rationale. Yan. Next part of chapter 1, the introduction, are your research objectives or your research questions. Ngayon naman kung yung research, anong kaibahan ng dalawa? Ang research objectives, of course, it's statement form. And yung research questions, it's in question form. Okay? So, wala tayong research questions. And sa atin, research objectives. Pareho lang naman yun. Okay. So, the opening statement should introduce the main objective of the study by stating the last specific objective. Meron tayong dalawang types ng objectives. We have the general objectives or the main objective and the specific objectives. Anong kaibahan ng dalawa? Mamaya ipapakita ko yung sample. So, meron daw dapat opening statement. And then you state the specific objectives. Alright. So, the first numbered objective, pakita ko yung example. Okay. So, this is an example of a research objective. Okay. So, maghanap tayo ng example ng research objective. Yan. Okay. Research objectives. So, ito yung intro statement. Okay, opening statement. So, sabi niyo, the purpose of this study was to determine the relationship between social media addiction and buying behavior among senior high school students. Specifically, this study had the following objectives. So, ito yung part ng opening statement. Okay. Your opening statement, sabi dito kanina, your opening statement should include your main objective. Okay? The main objective of the study. Yan. The opening statement should introduce the main objective of the study by stating the last specific objective. Balik tayo dun sa example. Okay. So, the purpose of this study was to determine the relationship between social media addiction, that's variable A, and buying behavior, that's variable B, among senior high school students. Okay, so this is your main objective, to determine the relationship between your variable A and your variable B. Specifically, now this word is important because it introduces that it tells your reader that you are going to introduce your specific objectives. Okay, so specifically, this study had the following objectives. So, these are now your specific objectives. Merong tatlo ha. So, sa atin, we are going to have 3 specific objectives. Una, ano ba yung mga objectives natin? Sabi dito, your first objective is to describe the level of variable 1 in terms of its indicators. Okay? Level of your first variable or variable A in terms of your indicators. Ang second objective is to describe or determine the level of variable 2 in terms of its indicators. And the third objective is to determine the significant relationship between the two variables. Okay, so, example. So, di ba, kaya nga yung mga pina-download na questionnaire, nag-require ako ng indicators. So, dito nyo i-state yung mga indicators. So, let's have an example. Let's go back to the example. Okay. So, yung number 1 objective, to ascertain, itong word na ascertain, parang determine, para malaman. Okay. So, for these words, I encourage you to use different words, okay, for this, kasi para mabawasan yung monotony, yung parang paulit-ulit lang yung mga words na ginagamit. So, pwede nyo gamitin to ascertain, to determine, to describe. So, pwede nyo salit-salitin yung mga words na yun na gamitin. Okay. To ascertain the level of social media addiction of the students as determined by. Okay? So, itong word na as determined by, ibig sabihin you are introducing now the indicators of your first variable. Okay? Social media addiction is your first variable. So, ito yung mga indicators niya. Okay? For the first variable. Notice that these are small letters. Okay? And semicolon yan. And second to the last na indicator, mayroong word, hindi yung symbol, word na end. And then yung last indicator, andyan na sa kanya yung period, end of the sentence. Okay? Or end na ng number 1 na specific objective. Okay. Yung second objective naman is the level of buying behavior of students as determined by brand preferences. Okay, familiarity, ayan. So, these are the indicators of your second objective. As determined by pa rin, or pwedeng in terms of. Pwede yan. So, to describe the level of buying behavior of the students in terms of, and then colon, and then your indicators. And the third specific objective is to determine the relationship between social media addiction and buying behavior. So, this is the relationship of your first variable and the second variable.